So come Saturday, it'll be 10 days since your last game. What have you been, working on it and doing in that time?
Players have been in, players have worked really hard. There are certain aspects that I feel, especially after the Carlisle game, that we need to get better at. We've made sure that the players have had the right amount of time on the grass, the right amount of time in the gym, but also had an opportunity to rest. Because I think the mentality of our first 6 weeks, 8 weeks of the season, it's been tough for a lot of teams, been a lot of games. But what we have tried to do and what we have done this week in training especially is really gone around again about our principles and how important they are, both in possession and out of possession. The players were in last weekend. It was a tough, period for them. But I think now we'll start to see the benefits of it. It's been a week where we've had a lot of time, a lot of time in the classroom, but also a lot of time on the grass. That contact time, that refreshing with the players has been really important. So it's been a positive 10 days. Obviously, we'd have liked to have had a game last weekend, but we didn't. So what we did was we made sure that the players have had and got their exposure to 11v11 during the period that we've had them for training.
You talk about that time in the classroom. How important is that, as well as a time out on the pitch, and what do you work on it and go through in those site sessions?
So without, I think it's key principles, key fundamentals for us, how we feel playing any team in this league, that we can impart our way of playing on them, both in and out of possession. So it's key that the players understand what we're talking about. They understand their roles and responsibilities, and they do. There has to be an opportunity for them to have a voice. That voice is always respectful, whilst us as coaches and myself as a head coach ultimately have the final say. It's also important that the players understand the why. So it's been some really interesting conversations around opposition from us as coaches with the players not there. We know that the next game coming up is going to be a really difficult game against a very good team. So it's another test for us, one that I feel we need to perform in. We need, obviously, to try and pick up a result. We're under no qualms about that. Our home form this season, we've won 2 games and lost 1. So what we want to do is we want to attempt to get back to winning ways at the weekend. The time that we've had here at the training ground will be invaluable towards helping us do that.
We spoke a little bit there about your form, how it's kind of been win, lose, and that's been the way it's been. How do you strike that consistency, and if it's, a game where you may be under it, when the games we've lost, maybe, getting a draw out of those games, how do you strike that consistency?
I think it's always going to be the question that's asked. We've had a lot of conversation as the coaches around that consistency. We've altered the training session or the training schedule slightly to make sure we give ourselves a better chance of not conceding the goals that we have done. So we've obviously made sure that we've looked at ourselves first as opposed to the opposition. Every goal that you concede is avoidable. That's a fact. Every goal that you score, you'll think it was brilliant. The opposition will question that and think that they could have done better to make sure they repel that. So for us, consistency is the key word. What I don't want, and what none of us want, is a season where we win, then we lose, then we win, then we lose. I think it's important, at least I know it's important, that we gain that real level of consistency within our performances. Now, where does that come from? That comes from the training pitch. So we are consistent in our messages to the players. The challenge to them is to go and perform when they're given the opportunity to do so.
Obviously, it's been a few days since we spoke now. Any updates on any injuries, any fresh concerns?
No, we're still in the same position that we are in terms of the 3 longer term injuries. Elliot Thorpe is back in the building, I think, as from Monday. He's waiting for his last scan. Jordan's doing well. He's working at the moment hardly with George Nurse in the gym. So I think they're complaining slightly that maybe their upper bodies are hurting a bit because they're working hard, those two. But it's great to see each and every one of the players that is injured really giving everything they've got in their rehabilitation process. So we're in a positive form at the moment. The squad is looking healthy. Based on training today, competition is high, and it's now down to the players that are selected at the weekend to put a performance in that is worthy of gaining a positive result.
We saw in the Forest Green game different combinations of your strikers now. Was that just a plan to see how they work together as well and how they play off each other?
We always wanted at least 4 strikers in the building, especially with the now extended games. What we've attempted to do is get everybody to the same point within those 4 that they're all ready to play if required and to start games. So competition is fierce within that part of the squad. We haven't as of yet started to look at any real combinations. If you look at Dan and Ryan, they have started near enough every game. That's because we didn't have the opportunity to maybe look at other options. We now have. I think competition within the squad is really good. Really pleased with where we're at. It's up to the players that are in the team to really push, or players that are out of the team, to really push those players that are in the team and make sure that, when we're selecting teams, it becomes really difficult for me to pick a team, because you want players that show you just how hungry they are. We've got that here. Competition is tough. It's now that we've got injuries back, it's becoming harder to pick a team. It's up to me and it's up to the coaches to make sure that we select the best team based on how the players have trained, based on the opposition we're facing, so that it gives us the best chance of winning a game.
Just finally then, Bristol Rovers. I believe you know Joey Barton. Did you play with him at Burnley? So coming up against someone you know as well, like you said, a tough game. Just your thoughts going into that one?
Be a difficult game. Very good football team. He's got an exceptional squad. He's got lots of options, both in attacking areas and defensively. They like to play through the thirds. Joe was a teammate of mine when we won the championship with Burnley. It'd be good to see him. Good to catch up with him afterwards. But at the moment, my focus, as I'm sure his focus is, will be on his team, as mine will be on us. So Joey's now at a stage in his career where he's become far more experienced. I think that Bristol Rovers are the second club that he's managed, so it's good to see a former teammate doing well, and hopefully we can make sure that we put in a performance so that at the end of the game when we shake hands, we're having a conversation afterwards in a positive light. But it's good to see players that he played with doing well. Joe is what I would class as probably an experienced manager now, with the amount of games that he's obviously seen through. So it's going to be a tough game for us. Joey's team will replicate him as a person. Having played with him, I know exactly what that is. Looking forward to seeing him. But, first and foremost, we want the points.